in and praying, but not in church. Now, that's not to say praying in church is bad, but I grew up, maybe a lot of you did, thinking prayer was something you did in church. Or maybe if just by yourself next to your bed at night before you went to bed. And that's the only places that prayer ever occurred. The Lord's Day just blows that out of the water. So that's a very important effect on your kids. And the last one I want to mention is something that we, throughout the Sword of the Spirit, require, actually. I mean, we encourage it, and we require that communities and people try to keep trying to do it well, which is husband and wife meetings. It's actually one of our most powerful tools. You don't have to depend on your men's group or somebody outside of your family to do this. This is something that only you can do as a married couple. So what is it? Well, it's a communication tool. If you think about it, everybody says that our problems are due to lack of communication, which they usually are. I did not know you wanted that. Oh, I didn't know you wanted that yesterday. And it happens at work all the time if you're working in a job. And it's very difficult to get good communication. And it won't happen unless you make sure it happens. So now this is very true for a husband and wife. So it's a communication tool. It's also a planning tool. I have to say from personal experience that most of the problems in a marriage are caused by being surprised. Now, there's good surprises like, wow, what a neat birthday present. But that's not the kind that cause problems unless they cost too much to buy. The kind I'm talking about is that something happens and you're not prepared for it, or your family's not prepared, or your spouse is not prepared. Here's some examples. Didn't you know is the way you introduce. You should have known, and now you're surprised. I can tell you're surprised, and we are unprepared, and trouble has happened. Didn't you know that Johnny had his school play tonight? Didn't you know today is the teacher-parent conference? Didn't you know that I'm going on the men's retreat this weekend, and I'll be gone? So, the answer to that is usually no, I didn't know. Which means you're not prepared. Okay, here's the next thing after didn't you know is it takes 20 minutes to drive to church. So didn't you know we had to start getting the kids ready a half hour before it's time to leave? Not a half hour before this church service begins. Or it takes 1 week or more ahead of time to invite people to our house for the Lord's Day. Didn't you know we can't invite them on Friday night or Saturday morning to come on over for a meal? Or it takes time, to discuss our daughter's temper tantrums and figure out what are we going to do about them. We can't just do it 5 seconds after she has her temper tantrum. So, the husband-wife meeting is a time together, regular time together, that you can count on, both parties can count on, that allows you to take away the surprises and to do some kind of planning, and, beyond the practical stuff, to care for one another's spiritual life, and also to be a little lovey-dovey. Ellen said, I had to tell you. I said, boy, you embarrassed me terrible. Once Ellen and I were asked in the community to give a talk on husband-wife time, a sharing, like what we did. So what we decided, we got a little carried away, so we brought in some pillows and set them on the stage, and we brought a little table, and we brought a wine bottle and 2 wine glasses, and then we went through our pretend husband-wife meeting while we were drinking wine up there. And everyone enjoyed it, and now we have a very racy reputation all throughout the Sword of the Spirit. But that's okay to do, occasionally too. Now, I happen to know that a common response when you ask people, do you have a husband and wife time together, is, oh yeah, we talk all the time. Immediately, that's a lie. I mean, it's not a lie, it's just not true. So But sometimes you do see each other enough, and your communication is just right so that you do talk about things early enough to be able to deal with them and prepare, and both feel, well taken care of. And if you're one of those kind of people, then what you just need to do is get together regularly, schedule it to have your night out, drink wine and enjoy your personal time, after the kids have put to bed, of course. And so now those fortunate people who are in this situation, they don't call this husband-wife time, they call it date night. How many of you women were taken out on dates before you said yes to your husband's proposal? Any of you? Did he ever take you out on a date before he proposed to you? Oh man, what a bunch of sluggards. Okay, guys, women, close your ears. Guys, here's an idea. Your wife don't even know that dates exist. So you can tell her, honey, let's implement the talk with the date night. And she will be so impressed that you could make that up. Okay, here's a few warnings that come from my experience and Ellen's experience of 40 years, and also helping people in the community to do this. First of all, a husband-wife meeting is not a substitute for talking to one another. You don't put off everything until, we don't talk about this until Tuesday night, because that's the night that we meet for husband-wife meetings. That's not how it works. What it is it's a dependable time that backs up and supports all the other communication you do. Also, watch out for sneak attacks, because communication goes bad long before you know it's going bad. So if stuff starts happening and you just say, man, oh man, I don't know what's going on, but nothing's working right, stop and review whether you have a time that both of you know we get together for a half hour at this time during lunch if you happen to be there, or in the evening, or something, or on a weekend or something like that. If you and then ask yourself, okay, if we do have that time, is it working? When was the last time we did it? You may have to readjust things, change your schedule, change your approach. Here's another one. It's hard to do this. You won't be perfect at it. Nobody is perfect at it. The thing the Sword of the Spirit requires is that you understand that you can't foster your marriage without having a dependable, regular time to communicate about schedules and about spiritual life and about the kids and about problems too. And it isn't like any one of them fixes all that stuff. It's that if you miss one, you can depend on the next one. Whereas if you're just doing it spontaneously as it comes up, you never know when you can actually do this. And believe me, one spouse will decide we need to do it long before the other one even notices. And that's a very difficult thing for a husband and wife to deal with them. Another warning, this is not a magic pill. It's not a miracle drug that solves your problems. So you've got to laugh, you've got to relax, you've got to give your partner a chance